In today's video, we will be changing the belt on the sander and the graphite pad. The tools needed for this will be a 3/8 ratchet, a 5/32 socket, and a 3/16 Allen key. Before starting any maintenance on the 558, we will want to shut down the power and follow our lockout procedure. First, you'll want to shut down the control circuit. Now that we have the power at the control circuit turned off, we will want to shut off our main breaker. After turning it off, we will then apply our lock in accordance with our lockout tagout procedure. With our electrical power now shut off, we will now turn off our air at the FRL. Once it is off, we can now place our lock in place. Now that we have our electrical and air locked out, our machine is now ready to be worked on. Now that our machine is locked out and ready to be worked on, we can now remove the top dust cover to access our belt and our graphite pad. The 6 bolts that we will need to remove will be located in these positions. With the bolts now removed, we can lift the top cover off. With the top dust cover now off, we can now access the 2 wing nuts that will loosen the tension on the belt. The wing nut on the right is here. The left wing nut shown here can be accessed through the window and loosened. Once we locate the 2 wing nuts, we can loosen them . And by doing so, we can then pick up the motor and slide the belt off. With the belt now off the sander, we can now have access to the graphite pad. In order to remove the graphite pad, we will have to remove the 4 bolts mounting it here on the back. The 2 shown here at the top, and there will be 2 that you can access through these access holes in these locations. So with the bolts removed, we can now wiggle these plates free from the pad, and then the graphite pad will slide out. To remove the pad completely, we will have to remove this shoulder bolt here. With our bolt loose, we can now pull it back and slide our pad out. All right, in order to install our graphite pad, we will have to line up our center hole with our spring center hole here. We will put them together, compress the spring, and slide them down into place. Keep in mind that this may be a little tricky, as this spring will want to force itself out and put some tension on the pieces, but you will be able to put it in place. Once we have our holes lined up, we can insert our bolt through the spring and into our mounting plate. For mounting the other side of the graphite pad, it has slots. So on this, we will just slide it over the shoulder bolt location in the middle and our spring. And when doing this, we want to make sure our pad is snug and flat up against the plate, like so. With our shoulder bolt now tight, we can then now reinstall the 4 bolts to secure the pad firmly. You may need to push the pad forward to relieve some of the tension in order to get your bolt started. With our graphite pad now attached, we are ready to put the belt back on. With our graphite pad now installed, we are ready to now put the belt back on the sander. We will do so by placing the belt around the front two wheels and lifting our motor in order to slide our belt down into place. We will want to keep the belt in line with the graphite pad before tightening down our two wing nuts. Once the pad and belt have been replaced, if you notice that your belt is not tracking on center on the pad, we do have adjustment bolts shown here that can be adjusted in order to raise and lower the belt. By loosening this bolt, it will change the angle on the motor and bring the pad up. By threading it in, it will lower the belt down. There will be a bolt on the left side as well, above the wing nut on the other side. Once we have made sure that our belt is tracking accordingly, we can now replace our top dust cover. Once we have our 6 bolts in place, we can now run the machine.